Okay, there we go. Oh, there's my guy, Coop. Say hi to Dave. David,
What's up?
Manager David.
Cool hat,
He
man.
can't hear you, Coop. Can't hear you. Can't hear you, Coop. Can't hear you, Coop. All right. Anyway, let's get going.
This is David Ross, and baseball isn't boring because of defense. We got the defense. We're getting rid of the shift, and defense is coming back into play. We're going to see some athletes out there. Pitching and defense is what it's all about. And homers. Who doesn't like homers? Everybody likes homers. Everything about baseball is awesome. Let's be honest. It's not. There's no one reason it's not boring. Everything about baseball is awesome. Let's go.
All right. First of all, thank you for joining me.
You
Appreciate
got
it.
it, buddy. This is a
Yeah,
privilege.
right.
No,
Just
this is
come
a
off a high level meeting or something.
no, we had I've got some we're interviewing some new trainers and strength conditioning guys. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right. Baseball is not boring, and there's nobody who proves it on a day in, day out basis ever since I've known him than manager David Ross. Dancer David Ross, catcher David Ross, announcer David Ross, whatever. T-shirt wearer David Ross, whatever you want. What do you want to be called?
You got to come in with more. If baseball's not boring, you got to come in with a little more excitement to start the show off.
You're the one. Listen, I scream it from the mountaintops every single day. It's my mission, my passion, my job. So yeah,
I
and
love it.
listen, I mean,
I like manager David Ross. I like that one.
manager David, right? All right.
Yeah, that's what John Lester calls me. Lester still
Well,
calls me manager David. That's what he
well,
calls
manager David. Oh, really? Even now? Oh, wow. Look at you. Look at
me. Yeah.
you. All right. Well, you have been part of the cause because you have worn the baseballs and boring T-shirt. We have confirmation of it. Walking through the streets of Chicago with wearing it.
I should have worn it for the show. I didn't. I didn't. I should have, just at least had it on here. But it's my go-to. It doubles as an undershirt at times, and I rocked it I went to the beach last week and had it. I
Ooh.
pack it. It's on the regular rotation.
And I don't even want to ask. So you are the only manager in the history of baseball that has not only has a baseball isn't boring shirt, but has a T-shirt with my Twitter handle on it.
I do have both. I do have both. That is, I am like your self promoter. That's for sure. How did that, you just keep feeding me T-shirts. I must look like a guy that needs a T-shirt every time I see you.
Well, listen, I pay you in T-shirt and smiles and in podcasts.
I appreciate that.
But I appreciate it, man. I appreciate always when you jump on. This is obviously our new venture. It's national, so you're speaking to the nation
Oh, cool.
now. Congratulations.
Nice.
Um, and so I want to get to a couple things, but as I text to you, I we like to sort of break things down in parts of baseball. This is why baseball's so awesome, which is little things. You can take something and have something so small and have such great stories and such great feelings. And when that happens on Saturday night, when the Houston Astros clinch that game, and that last out is made, I don't think people understand what that feeling is like. Not only I think that people understand what that feeling is like, but then take it to another level about catching the pitch and jumping into the arms. There's not a lot of people on this planet, David, that can say, I did that and I know what that feeling is. I'm just going to step back. You tell me what that feels like.
Oh man, you're giving me this. I didn't know we were just going to have all smiles this pod. Man, I don't know. Like I and this is going to sound so bad, but I watch and I'm jealous, to be honest with you, because I know what that's like. So I get this sense of jealousy, like, man, I want to be on that stage. That's why I'm doing my job right now. Is I talk all the time to the guys, like I'm managing because I want to do that again. I want to do something cool, historic. That feeling is what I'm chasing still, and being a part of that a couple of times. I want to know what it's like to do it as a manager, to lead a group of men, to be a part of that special team that you're connected to for the rest of your life. I'm still, I run into, Brock Holt or Xander Bogaerts or, different guys that, when I get on here with you, I just think Boston, but I run into different guys I'm connected to for the rest of my life and keep in touch with because of those moments. Koji, striking out Carpenter there, with that splitty away and me telling the umpire, nice job, and thanking God for that opportunity, and then running out there. And I've never felt another grown man in my arms feel so light in my life. Take that quote where you will, but like I just it's a special feeling, man. You work so hard and you see the joy on those guys. You see Dusty Baker and all that he's gotten to accomplish in his professional baseball career, and the joy that's on his face, and those players and how they are connected, man. There's nothing better than that. But the sense of jealousy is what runs through my body. I want to be there so bad.
Well, in fairness, I was extremely jealous watching you dance on Dancing with the Stars. So there you go. So we all have to be jealous about something. But I want to go to that moment you talked about, and like you said, you win it with the Cubs. You won a couple different times. You've had that feeling a couple different times. But when you're catching, this is, again, I do not know what this feels like. When you're catching, Koji's pitching, Carpenter's up.
Yep.
You know that you were one strike away from the ultimate thing that you've been chasing your whole life, that you're chasing the whole year, the 7 months. You put your fingers down. What do you remember about that? Like, do you remember thinking that it was, okay, we just have to, this is a cliche, but we have to execute like another pitch?
No.
Like, this is what's going to happen. He's going to throw this pitch and I'm going to run out.
Well,
what happened?
The first 2 outs were fly balls to Johnny Gomes and left. So I'm like, it looks like Johnny might get all 3. That was in my mind. Once we got, I distinctly remember, this is like just my brain. Like, don't forget to thank the umpire. I'm already running through because we had the game in hand. Like, right. Don't thank the umpire. Don't forget to thank God. And just keep throwing the splitty. I'm not going anything but Koji's splitty. We had 2 strikes on him, on Matt, and I'm just like, I'm throwing splitties until he either puts one in play or we punch him out or we walk him. I'm not throwing anything else unless Koji shakes it off. And I remember just Koji was probably one of the best bullpen closers I've ever. He went on that run that was just ridiculous. And so you knew the game was over and he was coming in and he could throw that splitty wherever. I remember setting up middle away to Carp, and it just disappeared, and I caught it and was like, holy cow, I just caught the last out. And then I run out there, did my thing and run out there, and it was just chaos after. Then it's all a blur. Like, it really is, all the way to like till you get to the parade. I think it all is like on both teams. It's once the out is made, it's just all a blur of partying and celebrating and hugging. And I think you can think about all the things that can go wrong. I think I try to process those things within that moment. But I remember getting 2 strikes. It's like, well, we're throwing all splitties here till he gets out or gets a hit or gets on base. That was the main thing I was thinking about the process. There was no lot. We had I think we were, what was the final score? 6-0. What was the?
It was a lot to a little. Yeah.
I think we were up like 6 runs or something. And but the other memory I remember distinctly in that was I was on deck when Stephen Drew hit the home run to put us up a pretty good bit. And I remember standing on deck and watching, he hit it, and I knew it was gone right then. It gave us a pretty good lead. I remember as soon as he hit it, I looked in the stands, like, take in this moment for a second. This is going to be really cool. And I just looked in the stands and watched the crowd react. That was probably one of my favorite moments of probably all my playoff experiences. It was so cool to watch the fans react in unison, being on the field when something just happened, but they hadn't clued in on it yet because they're in suspense whether it's going to go out or not. That was a really cool moment.
What was there a difference in the feeling between the one in Chicago and the one in Boston?
Yeah, the one in Chicago was a lot tighter. It was Game 7. We're at Cleveland. I think the cool thing about Boston was being at home. I just heard something about the Astros World Series, the first time a team has celebrated at home since that 13 team So that's really, I thought that was really cool. I remember just like we got to party in our own locker room, and our families were there, and it was just so like, it just was home. And that World Series, I go back to, that was just a special, I mean, with the bombing and everything, that's just,
Right.
there's just a deeper connection on and kind of mantra to that World Series than the one in Chicago. I was much more poised, the veteran guy. I was leaning on David Ortiz and Dustin Pedroia and Ellis.
Yeah. In Chicago, you're like, get on my back, boys. This is how it's done.
Well, I was the one talking to the young guys and like keeping the mindset right, I think, and just trying to also, like, I was retiring after that year, so enjoying that run and trying to take it all in. We had great leadership, and Joe Madden and Lester was there, and we had Lackey was there. Ben Zobrist had just won a World Series, so we had good veterans. We also had a lot of young guys that were just in awe of the moments, and I remember that feeling and could relate to a lot of that.
David, I was we talked a little bit about this when I saw you in Chicago for the critically acclaimed book that's coming out March 14th, A Damn Near Perfect Game, which you're part of, by the way. Congratulations.
Oh,
There you
nice.
go. Yeah, there you go. Amazon. You can order it now. But we were talking about this, about what it feels like to win a championship. And I might have told you this at the time, like I always remember, for whatever reason, the image of Steve Young holding up the trophy, like this coming out of his skin. And then you have images of the Houston Astros guys like Trey Mancini. I see the same sort of thing. I see obviously Dusty Baker. Can you describe what it's like to win a World Series championship, that moment?
It's hard, man. It's hard to put into words. Dustin Pedroia, I'll tell you a story. I'm sitting in Game On after we won, and we're partying, and it's me and him sitting on the couch and watching everything just kind of go down, and everybody party, and everybody's family, their wives, everybody's just enjoying the moment. And I was just so exhausted. I sat down for a moment, and he was sitting there, and it was like, "How's it feel, Rossi?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. I don't. It doesn't. I was just kind of numb. You're just like, wow, you did that, but it doesn't seem real." And he says to me, "It won't. It doesn't," because he had won one. Uh,
Right.
and so I don't know, the appreciation that I have is like after the fact and watching highlights and going back and watching some of the games, the 16 series I've watched over and over again, and seeing some of those things and hearing what the announcers are talking about that, you're not thinking during the game, and the way they're doing it. But the feeling isn't, it's not, I don't know if it's even indescribable. It's joy. It's a journey you've gone on to reach this goal that seems so hard. But the 13 team, we were talking about it a lot. We talked about winning a World Series in spring training. I mean, Dustin is great like that. His leadership and David's and the kind of group of guys we had were just, I missed a lot of that season with concussions and getting back. And I thought I would just be a piece to help out, and ended up starting a lot of the games in the World Series and catching John and catching the last out. It's just like, what a crazy road we just went on as a team. And you started that back in, February 13th or 14th. And now we're world champions. Like, what does that even mean? Like, like you don't have, it's just, for me, it was just indescribable. And the accolades come and all the cool things come afterwards. But like actually being world champions, when you finally experience it, it's just historic. Like you're celebrated forever. It doesn't go away. And
And it doesn't go away for months. Like Gomes was on, he's talking about this. He said, you have the initial celebration, you have you have a couple days, you have the parade, then you go home, then you have to party with your buddies, then you have to party with the next layer of buddies,
right.
And
What,
then
your kid's school, I remember going to my kid's school, and they were all locked in on I brought them all t-shirts back to my daughter's second grade class, and like now I'm taking pictures with the kids, and then there's an autograph signing a month later, and you're getting paid to go hang with fans and sign autographs, and then and then spring training starts back up and they start it all over again. Like it's just, you're on this crazy run, and everywhere you go, whether you're in the airport or you just, it's kind of, you get celebrated, that team. You hear my favorite thing that I get to hear is I'll be in the airport, I'll be at dinner, somebody will come up to me and they start to tell me their story. Like, people's stories are phenomenal. They tell you the Cubs, this was my grandpa, this was like I was at a graveside, I was with my aunt. Like, they know it to a T, and it's Boston. Like, you don't know how important. I've been a Red Sox fan my entire life, the bearded brothers, and I grew a beard that year. Just like the stories people have, that's my favorite thing, because it takes me back to the moments of winning. And when I get to jog my memory on those moments, it obviously makes me feel good and smile. So they think they're telling me this cool story for them, but it's lighting me up inside too. So that's kind of that's the thing that never goes away.
See, I'm here to get you fired up for the season, man.
You're getting me fired up, buddy.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
I'm trying to do Thanksgiving dinner plan the meals out for Thanksgiving over here, and you're getting me locked in for next year.
You're gonna get on the phone to Jed Hoyer, right? In 2 seconds. You go, come on. Hey, come on. This is free agency. Let's go. I do want to spin it. It's sort of relating to something you went through, to something that's sort of like on the horizon now in the world of baseball, which is free agency. And I always remember this, David, is that, we talk a lot about that 2013 Red Sox team and how that was constructed and how they took the money and they sort of spread it around a little bit. I remember Josh Hamilton was the big guy that offseason, right? But they signed you and Victorino and Napoli and Dempster and Gomes and all these guys. But you were the first one. From what I remember, you were the first call. So free agency, it hits midnight or whatever it is. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the Red Sox, like they called you first. And so my question is, how impactful is that for you, or was that for you? And is that something that is something that you and Jed, whoever, that this is a very real thing in baseball, the importance of showing a guy, maybe not the highest paid guy, but you're a priority for us?
Well, you're hit around the head. Obviously only Ben knows who all they called, but like they called me, they said one of our top priorities is going to be the other catcher. I mean, we always going to be in tandem with Salty. Mm-hmm. And they told me I was a priority because of some of the dismay they had been through in 12, and like trying to get together a bunch of I don't want to toot my own horn, but this is what they said, get good clubhouse guys that know baseball and, blah, blah, blah. And they did that. If you look at the guys, Johnny Gomes, phenomenal reputation, Ryan Dempster, Shane Victorino, Mike Napoli, all these guys are good humans as well as good players and good people. And I think that's why we came together so fast. But that did make that was everything. I as a player, you want to feel important. You want to matter. I was a backup catcher. I backed up Brian McCann. He's a 6-time Silver Slugger, 6-time All-Star, tons of accolades. I was a backup, and for them to show me dollars matter, but with the way they pursued me and the way they wanted to make something happen and the way they put their best foot forward right away, that was everything. It was an easy decision. There was nothing else even close because of how hard the Red Sox were pushing. Like, we want David Ross. He matters. And to come from a career 220 hitter and a backup catcher, that was everything for me. So to fall in love with that place and that organization. And I asked Ben, I remember after winning the World Series, I asked Ben, like, okay, like, what's the real reason that you were pursuing me? And he said, your reputation was really good in the game. And, there's run production and there's run prevention. And like, looking at your numbers, like, you prevented runs and you won a lot of games when you were catching. And that's something we felt like we needed. And like that was a perfect fit for us. So, that was really cool, to hear him say that. And the fact that I identified me and, was special, because that hasn't always been my reputation too. So like, I was proud that, like, I was able to to go somewhere like Atlanta, change my reputation to somebody that was a good teammate and valued others and winning, and some of the mindset changes that I had went through as I matured and grew up, was really cool for me to know that other people were out there saying that and seeing that.
Have you done that? Have you done that as a manager since you've been a manager? Have you guys got together and said, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to call this guy at 12:00. I don't know what it is, 12:01 or whatever. When it starts."
I've definitely been the sales pitch guy for sure. Seiya Suzuki stands out. He had a he was courted by a lot of teams last year, but I definitely sent my fair share of videos to him or whoever.
Do tell. I mean, what do you got? I mean, what's the David Ross recruiting pitch look like?
I talk to him like I talk to you, like, you know what I mean? I try to keep it real. I try to say what I value about the player and the person, and what it's like in Chicago, and how I've been treated, what it's like to win a World Series, what my goals are, why a player like that fits for me. And I keep it honest with energy, like me and you talking, buddy. Like when I get on the horn with you, it's smiles and fun. And like you said, let's go. Let's get some free agents. I'm saying,
yeah,
I know you got choices, but you're coming to Chicago. Let's not.
You got any free agents you want me to send some T-shirts to? I can do that.
Let's not shock them early on, but free T-shirts, you never know. All right.
Listen. I mean, I'm not going to say this, but Anthony Rizzo doesn't have a Baseballs and Boring T-shirt yet. So,
I mean, hey, we'll take all the good players that want to come to Chicago and want to help win championships. I promise.
Do you like that? Do you like that part of the job? I mean, you obviously, it feels good when you do it. Like say Suzuki came there.
Sure,
do you like that?
Yeah, that definitely feels good. You know what I'm passionate about is just like getting guys that want to be there. And you work in Boston, you get to be around that group consistently. Like listen, I'm blessed to have a major league job. I think there's a couple of special cities that I've been in throughout my playing career that I would say are a little bit different or above the rest, I would say, in certain areas. And like to win in those spaces and to be a part of championships and winning teams and cities that are great, that are passionate about baseball, that love baseball. I'm freaking super passionate about that. I freaking love that shit, and it drives me. So I want to be good. Like we're trying to be better as soon as possible. So the more good players we can get to couple with the ones we've got coming and the ones that are already there, I want to do that. I want to do what Alex Cora has done as a manager. I want to do what AJ Hinch has done as a manager. I want to do what Dusty Baker just did. I want to try to do that. And so I'm passionate about that. So when I give a sales pitch, I try to that comes out, I think, naturally. It's not even a sales pitch. It's just like, hey,
no, man, it's you're real. Like that's
who I am. Yeah.
Yeah. This is listen, I would play for you. Congratulations.
I'm looking to upgrade a little more than that, Rob.
Well, I don't know. My pop time is insanely good. But does this feel? I have to ask, like, so it feels like maybe heading into this offseason, it feels like, does this feel different? Like in terms of maybe that you guys obviously, it seemed like turned a corner a little bit. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like turned a corner, and now maybe there's a little bit more resources coming your way. Does it feel a little bit different this offseason than last?
I'll say yes as a blanket statement. Like it's different, and I think we're still building. We've got we've had 3 teams in the minor leagues championship playoffs. We've got some talent coming. We found out a lot of questions that we got answered this year. We're not where we want to be. We've got great ownership, but I also always take baseball, and whether it's the off season or the in season, I just take it with a grain of salt. Like we'll see, we will see. I don't like speaking ahead of like, we think there's, these finalities or certainties in our game or predictions of what might happen. Players at the end of the day have the choice of where they want to go. And so they have to choose us when you are a free agent, and we're going to set we set our sights on certain guys. But at the end of the day, they have to want to be there. They have to want the same things we want. And when you get in front of them and talk to them and present them with contract offers, all those things have to line up. And it's really hard. Players, it's a tough decision being. I haven't ever been a coveted free agent, other than maybe if.
But you were a free agent. I mean, it's still a
Yeah,
tough
it's a hard
decision.
decision. It's a tough.
Yeah.
Like there's money, there's family, there's geographic location. Just how there's so much that goes into it, and reputation, and whether guys are in for the long haul of building to get better. If guys want to jump right into a team like LA that's got 4 MVPs,
Yeah, but David, you look at what you did in the second half. That's a selling point, man. Like,
sure.
I don't need to tell you that. Like there's probably it's a whole lot easier to say, hey, this is the way we're trending. This is what we did.
Sure.
Come on in. The water's fine.
That's right. No, yeah, I'm 100% with you. I just mean everybody's in a different boat, and everybody, when you get to be a free agent, you get to make your choice. And that's a powerful thing and a tough decision when it comes to dollars and family and a lot of the unknown, especially if you're switching, he's switching to play like Xander Bogaerts. Let's just say you're a Boston guy, love him to death, but
yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar with his work.
He's got a lot of history there in Boston, man. That's he's a quality human being and won 2 championships there and a really talented player. He gets to make his own choice. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited as heck, but I don't put the cart before the horse. I try to wait and see. And, I can't wait to whoever we get, to call them and congratulate them and can't wait to get to work with them.
Well, I tell you what, if it doesn't ever get to that point, you can know that if you ever do talk to Xander, just know that you can say, much like yourself, Xander, I also have a baseballs and boring T-shirt.
Okay, yeah, that's one. Good.
Hey,
good.
Hey, I have to ask because I'm interested in sort of having to manage, and it's not managing on the field.
Okay.
The report came out about Willson Contreras and whatever. Like, that was a weird time, right? And he's giving hugs.
Sure.
I mean, so can you take me back as much as you can about, from your perspective, what that was like? Because it seems as a manager, you have to juggle a lot of things going on there.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what managing is, right? You're managing the game, you're managing people, you're managing your team, the front office, the training staff, the strength. I mean, there's just the coaching staff, the message to the fans, the media. There's a lot of different balls you're juggling. So, I've got my first taste the year before with Rizzo and Bryant. Baez, that gave me a lot of insight on just their mindset. Those guys were obviously, World Series champions that I was connected with from my playing days, that we had a rapport that we could just have conversation. They would come in and tell me what's on their mind, what was bothering them. Very open. And like I said, I'm a straight shooter. I try to speak with love and honesty as much as I possibly can. So, keeping them in the loop as much as I can. And also, like, you don't know, right? Like, there may be stuff like this team's calling, that team's calling. At the end, half the time I'm like, I don't even really want to know because I don't have any control over it. It
Right.
doesn't, so if I've got a question that a player's asking me, I can go to him. He's very transparent with me and we have great conversations. But half the time I just don't want to know. I don't want to ever lie to the player if they have a question for me, if I know something, or because I'm not good at that. I'm not, I value telling the truth. And so I don't want to tell them something that's not true, but I also don't want them to worry. So dealing with, Willson and him feeling like he might go, and the uncertainty of the trade deadline, we don't really know. So, I just would communicate to him about playing and when I would give him a day off. Don't read into it. Like, this is just a day off. Just continue to talk it out. I probably over communicate, but I try to let everybody in on, like, here's what I'm thinking. Here's why. I'm sensitive to, like, when it is in the media and everybody's like, I'm going to let him catch the last game before we leave on a road trip, and the trade deadline's on a road trip. I don't know what's going to happen, but maybe this is his last game here. I don't know. And so when it comes down, he's not being traded, and you get to go deliver that news from somebody that really valued Chicago and staying there and loving the place. Like, it's good news. It's jump for joy. It's hugs. I get to keep a great player. I get to keep Ian Happ. I get to keep Willson Contreras. It also stinks to see David Robertson leave, and Michael Givens, and the guys that left. So there's good and bad, and it's hour to hour, it's day to day, and you try to juggle those emotions and stay in, like, hey, we're playing St. Louis tonight. Let's get our shit together and focus. And we got a baseball game to win with whoever we're strapping it on with. So
so do you basically, because like you said, I have to focus on what's in front of me.
Right.
And so do you say to Jed, until it like the rubber meets the road, just don't let me know until we really need to know?
He'll hint at, like, hey, something's close with this certain player the day of. And so if, like, one of the clubhouse guys come and talk to me, I'll have to get a guy at the bullpen to come in out of the game, or I'm not blindsided. And there's conversations, and Scott Efros this year, like, who wasn't even on the radar to get traded. You just hear every time after a game, for the last felt like a month. It probably wasn't, but like, Scott Efros is getting a lot of attention. Scott Efros, it's like every other day they say that's like, well, we trade in Efros, like, we better not be trading Scott Efros. That's one of my favorites. That's one of my best relievers, and he's under control for the next 5 years. That's what the manager thinks, but they're looking at, I don't know who is in the mix of who we might get, or that. I just hear, like, one of my really good players is name keeps coming up when we just have, general discussions. So, but that's part of the business. So yeah, I don't like to get in the weeds. I think some people do. I don't know what my value is in that. Like, my value is to keep the players focused on winning and working to get better.
That's hard. That's hard. In this day and age, that's hard.
It's hard. Well, because there's so much outside noise. But if I don't change and I come in and be the consistent person every single day, that's all I can control. And when I talk to them, I give them honesty. They know that. They know if they walk in my office, they're getting honesty and truth. And when I see them, I'm rooting for them. We're trying to win that day. There's no other focus on my plate than trying to win that baseball game. So as long as I stay true to that, then they know the best managers I had, I knew what was expected of me. I knew who that person was going to be on a consistent basis. This is who Joe Madden is. This is who Bobby Cox is. This is who Bruce Bochy is. This is who Terry Francona is. When I walk in the door every single day, this is what he's expected of me, and this kind of attitude he brings. I'm just trying to do that.
Okay, now we look back. This is a tough one. I'm sorry to ask you this, but when you play Willson Contreras, right, in your heart, did you think that he was going to get traded?
I honestly didn't know.
Okay.
I honestly, well, it's like, I go, all I have is experience. And like, I've been doing this 3 years, Rob. And like 2020 was like, I don't know what that was. That's like an extended spring.
No, that's like half. I don't want to say it doesn't count.
So I've got I got 2.5 years of experience. And
trade deadline was 3 weeks into the season, by the way. So yeah.
Right. Well, and then I get traded, Riz and KB and Javi and those guys got traded at the deadline my second year, really my first full season. So it was very much like a learning process in the moment. And so did I have a feeling that some of those guys might get traded? Yes. But when they took I sat KB had a scheduled day off before the trade deadline on a day game. And Rizzo came in my office the day before. He's like, I'm cooked. I need a day. So I was like, cool. So KB and Riz did not play the last home game at Wrigley Field. That was not because I was thinking about the trade deadline. It's because KB had a scheduled day off, and Riz came in my office, and I